back to Boxing Talk. I'm Andrew Bocanegra. I'm here with Brian Mendoza, boxing analyst. Well, let's start off with Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah. Got a big fight coming up with Fernando Martinez, and I think it's a great stylistic matchup. I think it's going to be very exciting, and I can't wait to see. I think this is going to bring out the best in Bam Rodriguez because Martinez really knows how to put that pressure on. He kind of like that Maidana, like they just don't care. They're not worried about where the shots are going to land. They're just swinging away.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll do that from the first bell to the last. And Rodriguez, I think, is a perfect opportunity for him to, once again, show his angles, his ring IQ and everything, and kind of let all that stuff on the line. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, so they square off in Saudi Arabia on the 22nd of November, right? You got all the marbles, right, on the line right here, right? WBO, WBA, WBC.
Yeah, big unification fight.
Yeah. So we're talking about two fighters that typically come forward, right? These are two bangers.
Yeah.
Right. So should we expect that, or do you think that they're going to be a little bit more cautious coming in? This is probably the most dangerous fighter, that each of them have seen to date. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, and I'm always giving out props. When credit where credit's due. Both these guys they're constantly taking on tougher and tougher challenges. Since both of them, I was actually there when Martinez won his title at the Cosmopolitan here in Las Vegas. Yeah,
Las Vegas.
And it was a great fight. And ever since then, every single fight's been tougher and tougher. He's been taking on the best he can find. It's exactly the same with Bam, and they're just meeting up. Now it's like they're doing like their own tournament throughout. Taking everybody on, and now they're unifying these titles. So. Like I said, it's a great stylistic matchup. Yeah, they both come forward, but Bam isn't so much in a linear fashion because he loves to use his angles and break people down from shots they don't even see coming. And then Martinez, yeah, he's just he's swinging those big bombs all day.
Yeah, has a good chin too.
Yeah, has a phenomenal chin actually. So it's gonna be very interesting. I feel like we might see Bam, with some big body shots again in this one. Kind of slow that down because he's going to have to find a way to slow down that pressure somehow because that Martinez just keeps coming forward.
Do you think? So this is Bam's first time fighting overseas. He's had some fights in Mexico. Will that play a role in his performance fighting overseas? Do they typically will they show up a few weeks early and get acclimated?
Yeah, they definitely should do that regardless. I think you can't take those things lightly, but also at the end of the day, you're going from the hotel to the fight venue back. It's the same thing. You're doing the same thing. You can't overthink it. Like, oh wow, I'm overseas. But I feel like the level that Bam has been at, he hasn't gone overseas, but he's faced people from all over the world. So I don't think you should let that get to him. It's just another day in the office. Like they say.
So Martinez, he's coming off a two fight win he's undefeated, but coming off two big wins in Japan. He looks incredible, right? So yes, Bam is definitely stepping up. Do you see a knockout? What do you see happening? Do you see it going the distance?
So with Martinez, I don't know if he has so much the power behind it. It's just the breakdown pressure. It's just the volume that gets to people more. And so if he can really get downhill on Rodriguez, and that could be a game changer for him there. And then for Rodriguez, I really see him kind of going to the body more in this fight. That's kind of what I'm picturing. I feel like that's what their game plan may be. And so if he can slow down Martinez enough, or if Martinez can get downhill enough, I definitely see someone going down and getting stopped late in this fight.
Great. Emiliano Vargas, right? He's undefeated, 15-0. He's going up on this weekend on the 15th in Mexico. That's going to be a big fight. He's fighting Montreal, not a big name. Started late, age 20, a native from Louisiana. Started off early on in his career with Mayweather. He's a banger though. He'll sit in the middle of the ring and he'll swing. Is that going to be a problem for Fernando? Do you think Fernando's going to keep his reach, or excuse me, Emiliano is going to keep his reach?
It could be. For Montreal, it's going to depend on him just not respecting Vargas too much. He can't go in there and think, I'm again there against this blue chip prospect, moving up in the ranks. And he can't let that get to him and just go in there and, just try to take his head off, because that's what he does. He's a former street fighter. He's doing all that stuff. And that's going to be his strength in this fight. Just don't let the moment get to you. Really just, just go for it. That any man can lose on any night. You never know. So So just go for it. I really think that's going to be his best bet because I don't think he'll have the IQ, the ring IQ. Vargas has been doing this since he was in the womb, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, it's his father Fernando Vargas was a great fighter in his own right, and it's this is literally in his DNA. So I don't think ring IQ wise, I don't think that's the way this fight will play out. And Vargas, he's moving up real nice. They're putting tougher and tougher competition each fight out, and Top Rank really knows what they're doing when they're building a fighter. And I think they have their focus on Vargas at this point in his career. They really like his trajectory. So I think this is going to be another perfect kind of matchup for him.
So he's ranked 21 right now, and like you mentioned, he's moving up fast, right? I mean, is it time at 15-0? Should they continue to build him, or do you think it's time for him to step up? It's a powerful division, right? There's a lot going on in that. Is it smart to move up a little more, to maybe try to target someone in the top 10, or do you think he needs a little more time to adjust?
I think there's more time to adjust because he is showing that he does belong at these higher and higher levels each fight. I think that last fight in Times Square, he got like the fastest knockout in history there. So he's showing it. He's living up to the challenge each time, but you don't want to rush it. He is still he's 15-0, but maybe still get a few more fights. And the thing with Top Rank is they know how to build a fighter. So I think yes, step up, but gradually. I think there is no rush. He's still very young, so I think they should take their time a little bit and just gradually kind of get there because I think he's got the goods. So it's more about just giving him the time to develop.
Yeah. So I mentioned Montreal. He's a street fighter, right? Again, started late, but is that going to be an issue with him starting late? He may not have developed as much techniques. Is that why he sits in the middle of the ring and bangs? Probably.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm kind of saying that he should kind of just go for it. Maybe not like so much in the first round. Warm up, kind of find your distance, find your range, take your time a little bit. But he's not going to have the ring IQ that Vargas has. So that's really going to be the difference in this fight. I think is the ring IQ. But like I said, any man can lose on any night. So for Montreal, I think he needs to go for it. Exactly, nothing to lose. You're fighting Vargas. In Mexico, they're trying to get Vargas that Mexican fan base even more. So you have nothing to lose, man. You're in there, just go for it. You never know.
Tell me about the family unit with the Vargas family, right? You got 3 boys, right?
Yeah.
All talented, coming from, training with their dad, Fernando Vargas, one of the biggest, names in boxing, to me at least, I was a huge Fernando Vargas fan back in the day. So their whole world revolves around boxing, right? Is that too much sometimes, or does that help having that family unit, a boxing family?
It can depend, sometimes because I know a lot of people where their dad is also their trainer. It's hard for the dad coach to turn it off. When they go home, they're still getting yelled at. They're still getting advice, in boxing and stuff. And because you need to unwind sometimes. It can't just be 24/7. And so there's pros and cons to it for sure, but it always kind of depends on their relationship. I don't know exactly how they are at home and everything, but as long as they're able to kind of keep a balance, just be my dad at home. Also, if they're able to do that, then I think they have a good dynamic going. As far as their fights and everything's going beautifully. Yes. So it seems like it's working out. So from the outside looking in, it seems like they got a good thing going. But it's a fine line for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned we were talking about training in the family and training how there's a fine line. Since we're talking about training, let's talk about training camps. Right. What does it consist of? Typically, a fighter's coming in. If they're fighting stateside, that's one thing. Fighting overseas, you mentioned, getting in a little early. But training camps in general, what typically would we see on a training camp in regards to length? 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And there's also fighters sometimes that are coming in with 2 or 3 weeks notice.
Yeah,
right.
That's the thing. So preferably it's 6 to 8 weeks, as long as you're in somewhat decent shape. 6 to 8 weeks is if you're constantly training, because boxing is year-round sport. There's no seasons. There's no time off for us. You're supposed to always be training, always be in somewhat of shape, decent shape. So the 6 to 8 weeks is for them. It could be 10, 12, maybe a couple months if you're just coming in for a fat camp, because a lot of times people come in, blow up in weight, so they got to come in. The first few weeks of camp are just trying to lose weight. They're not even focused on technique or anything like that. They're just trying to get in a little bit better shape, lose weight, lose those pounds. So it always depends on each one, and then you.
So
get
would they
those-
have to come in earlier? Let's just say instead
Yeah.
of they're coming on an eight week camp, and they're typically
Yeah.
someone who does blow up, show up a couple weeks early and just start the weight
Yeah.
loss, and then start their 8 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I would say more than 8. So I'd say like 10 to 12
Wow,
sometimes
okay.
for those people. It always depends. Some people go 20, 30, even 40 pounds over their fight weight. So that always depends.
It's amazing how many fighters really blow up. I mean, you see guys that are, they're in shape all year round,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then these guys that put on 20, 30, 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Does that take back? I mean, does that kind of set you back, or is it smarter to stay in shape all year round?
You should definitely stay in shape all year round because you never know when you're going to get that call. I personally, I've gotten a lot of calls, on 10-day notice,
Yes.
not even a full 2 weeks, even less than that. And you got to be ready. Those could be the moments where you shine. I turned my career around on a 10-day notice fight, and ever since then, things went up. Bigger fights from there. And if I would have been sitting on the couch, that would not have happened. That fight
Yes,
would not
yeah.
have played out that way. So it's you just got to stay on point. Maybe not 100% all year round, but you got to stay in good shape so you can step it up. If it's a couple weeks, if you're lucky, you get 6 to 8. But a lot of times, especially if you're not like a favorite in the moment or something, like you'll get a more short notice call. So
Wow.
you really got to stay on point.
Got it. So tell us about the sparring. Like typically, when does sparring start, and how many sparring sessions would we see in a week, typically?
That one, a lot of people have kind of different beliefs in it, but I think that it should be a minimum of 2 to 3 sparrings a week. Every other day, get a rest day in between or something and work on the technique, see what you saw in sparring, and then work on it the day after so you can bring that into the next sparring. And
Okay.
each thing kind of, rolls into the next. So I'd say like 2 to 3. Some people do more or less. It kind of always depends. I don't like over sparring because I think you can leave the fight in the gym. That's when a lot of times you'll see like a great fighter, but he'll get to the fight and he's just burnt out. He looks
Yes.
tired. He looks
Yes.
slow. His reactions off.
So typically, what a week before your fight, you would stop the sparring, or 2 weeks?
Yeah, usually about 2 weeks out, you'll get those last sparrings in. It's usually not the toughest sparring. You're kind of just staying sharp, keeping your reflexes up and everything. So you start tapering down.
Okay. So how many rounds? Like, would you? I mean, if you're in a 10 or 12 round fight, should you be going 10 or 12 rounds? Should you be going more than 10 or 12 rounds?
Some people do more. I'm like I said, I'm not someone that believes in kind of over sparring and kind of overdoing it. I think you should get quality work with what you do get in. So yeah, if you're going 10 or 12, you should touch 10 or 12 at least a couple times, in camp a few times and get your work. But as long as you're getting the quality rounds in, you're not just kind of working light days. You have to have a mix of tough sparring sometimes, lighter sparring, some drills. And you got to really keep it balanced because those people that also just do hard sparring all the way through, they're always
Yes.
just trying to kill each other.
Yes.
That's just not the way to go about it because again, you're gonna get to the fight burnt out and you won the gym wars, but you didn't win when it mattered. You know?
Yes. So should you be fighting or should you be sparring with multiple fighters, or should you
Yeah.
kind of narrow it down? What are you looking for? Are you looking for fighters that typically have the same style as the fighter that you're up against?
Yeah, once you're later in your career, you're looking at bigger fights. You should be kind of more focused on like you and your team, whoever it is, studies your opponent, and they say, okay, this guy's got a really good left hook, or he's good at boxing or pressure, and you bring in a few guys that can specialize in that one thing, and you kind of keep getting those different looks so you can be ready, and always mix it up too, because the opponent can change on fight night. You never know how they're gonna come when it comes to like your stylistic matchup against them. So you gotta get different looks, but also still try to get similar to what you expect that opponent to bring.
Is there such thing as too much cardio? Let's just say. I mean, because obviously cardio is a big part of camp.
Yeah.
And I've heard different opinions.
Yeah.
Right? Is there such thing as too much cardio?
Yeah, there's you can get too much of anything. It's like I said, a lot of things that come to like a balance, a fine line, and yeah, too much cardio, too much sparring, too much strength and conditioning, too much. Even like the bag work, if you're constantly killing yourself and you're not recovering enough, which is a big thing people kind of overlook, is how important recovery is. As much as you train and work, you need to recover that much. So again, it all comes down to just a balance. You need to you don't need to be fresh all through camp. It's tough. You need to know you're in camp. You're sacrificing yourself and going through these difficult moments in camp. But just keep pushing through and make sure you recover. But yeah, you got to push through. Just make sure you're not kind of overdoing it, because then again, you don't want to win the gym battle and lose the war in the fight when it matters.
So when it comes to camp, I mean, what would you tell a fighter? I mean, there's young, athletes, fighters right now, young boxers. What would you tell them? I mean, your best advice for training camp, is it mental? I mean, obviously mental. You know, boxing is 80% mental. What kind of advice would you give a new fighter out there?
I mean, as far as training camp, just stay locked in. Always kind of meditate and kind of see what your plans are through camp. Kind of touch base after, like see what you're working on, and you just gotta like recenter yourself, because you can get lost in camp and just kind of just focus. Okay, just get from one day to the next. It depends how grueling that camp is, but just stay focused, man, and remember why you're doing it and your goals and everything. And that's what is gonna help you push through those difficult moments.
Brian, thank you so much for that great information. Thank you again for hanging out with us today. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms at the Boxing VIP Network. You can also watch us on boxingvip.com. Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you guys, man. Always appreciate it.